I apologize, guys. I still don't know why my screen is only like showing partial. I want to talk about mdgs again. I've had this stock for years. A couple years ago, I think I had $5,000 in it, no, $4,000 in it, I think, and it was at $1, and I sold it at $1.25, and I made $1,000. And at some point they did a reverse split, and I can't remember if it was 10-1 or 15-1. But overnight the shares went from 1 to 10. And since then, it has just been going down, down, down. Let me see. $15-1. So for every 15 shares you used to have, now you have 1 share. $15-1. November 14th. So somewhere in here was the reverse split. And so fair value should be at least $20. And it went all the way down to 220, 256. I haven't really been keeping track of it. They might have diluted some more. Maybe that's another reason. But they paid a crazy dividend back in December 2022. Let's see. So around December, and I want to say I bought it around probably $5, somewhere in there. And they were paying an 85-cent dividend per share. So if you're buying a share for say $5 and they're paying almost $1 a share, you know, that's 20% cash they gave out. And I want to say they gave out, 13 million off the top of my head. They have not released the annual report, I don't believe, since 2022. And I think we've peeked at this before. When I first basically just go to sec.gov, and then you go to the filing search and you type in the name. But Oh, here's one 5/3/2023. And bear with me, this is the first time I'm reading this, so. Alright, but these are some of the companies that they own. Inventor, which is like, they do concerts. Gigs, internet. This is an internet company. I want to say they own 40% in gigs, and just their 40% ownership in gigs would be somewhere in the realm of 30 to 40 million dollars, I want to say. Granted, the market cap of this company, unless it is a fraud, this market cap says 5 million, less than 5 million. And just taking a quick look at the statistics, the price to book is at 0.15, which tells me it's 85% off of its book value. The book value per share listed down here is $18.67. They have 14 million cash, almost 15 million. They have 11 million in debt, but they have enough cash to actually pay the debt off. This is kind of how the chart looked when I looked at DAC years ago. That went up 30x. I mean, it was down in the doo-doo. It was down in the dumper. Forever. Now, whether or not you like Israel or not, that's the fact is well known that most Israeli companies do not have debt. Most Israel people know that it's hard to create wealth when you have debt, because the Bible teaches the debtor is slave to the lender. And if you're paying the bank 15 or 20 or 30% interest, it's hard for you to make that kind of money. But let me close the old one. Jeff Brands, they had launched the IPO last year. Unfortunately, it did not do very well. They had this Muse thing. They had ownership in this other company called Polyrizon. They had this other one called Smart Repair, Purex. And they did have one called Scout Cam, and they IPO'd that one and sold that one. Let me see. See if I can get. I don't know how you get the screen bigger. It's just saying they're got some operating losses. It says if Microsoft, Google, Apple, Meta, or other companies that provide internet browsers, advertising platforms, and search engines effectively further restrict, discourage, or otherwise hamper companies like Geeks Internet from offering advertising services, would continue to cause a material adverse effect on its revenue and financial results. Now, I didn't see where it says how much they own of Geeks. Oh, right here. No. But I want to say they own 40%. And then it's talking about Inventor. And it's talking about Jeff Brands. And it's talking about its Muse technology business. Talking about electric vehicle sector. Alright, here, Geeks Entertainment, we hold currently 42.25% of its outstanding share capital. Inventor, online site event management ticketing platform, in which we currently hold 46.21% of its outstanding shares. E-commerce activity includes the Jeff brands. We hold 34.87% of its share capital. I think this is the one. So it has a market cap of I was wrong, it's not 30 million. It probably was. But it's fallen. But anyway, they own basically almost 50% of this company. So let's say it's 20 million, that's another 10 million right there. Jeff Brands has done terrible. I think they're less than a penny. A 35-cent market cap of $1 million. And they IPO'd right here and then went straight on down from 12 bucks all the way down to 35 cents. So that one was kind of a wash. Then it's talking about this gastroesophageal reflux disease using the Muse system, which they own the patent or whatever. Poly Horizons development of something. Our EV sector includes ownership in charging robotics, and it's 20% subsidiary Revolts. Both developed three modular EV and wireless vehicle battery charging technology. On April 7, 2023, Charging Robotics consummated a share exchange transaction whereby it became a wholly owned subsidiary of Fuel Doctor. As a result, we now hold 67% of the outstanding capital of Fuel Doctor, with an option to increase our holding to 71% on a predetermined milestone. Our activity in the products and safety for drones through our stake in Parasito something, which we hold 40% of its outstanding share capital. So just to recap here, guys, they own Geeks 42%. That's this company right here, the internet company. and I want to say they had revenue of 30 million maybe. They do have a lot of debt, but they got 12 million cash too. So anyway, they own 42% of that company. They own this Inventor, 46%. They own a third of Jeff Brands. They own this Muse system. They own ownership of Charging Robotics and its 20% subsidiary Revolts. And then talking about they own 67% of Fuel Doctor. And they own this drone company 40%. They also own a company that also IPO'd and went public, Scout Cam. And I don't know if I can find it. I don't know what the symbol is. But it was like a camera for pilots and stuff, like combat pilots. So here it has it broken down. Geeks 42, Inventor 46, Jeff Brands 35%, Muse Poly Horizon 37%. Currently hold 5.7% of Clearmind. I'm not sure where that is. Psychedelic derived therapeutics that solve widespread and underserved health problems includes mental health, alcohol use disorder, binge eating, and depression. And it says 4 utility patent families, which includes 7 approved patents and 13 pending applications. Charging Robotics. And it talks about Fuel Doctor. Holds 67% of Fuel Doctor. Talks about Revolts. Here's the Scout Cam thing. So they still hold almost 20% of Scout Cam. And I think when Scout Cam IPO'd, it was market cap was 30 million. They currently hold 6% of Automax Motors. The old Elbit Imaging, 6%. Safety Cyber Technologies, a blockchain company. We currently hold 2.35%. So, I mean, this thing is checking all the boxes. It's checking EV, it's checking blockchain, you know, it's checking internet companies that are making money. %40 of this pin zeros. Oh, 19.7% of Lemira. It says we Charging Robotics and Jerd IP own 17 U.S. patents, have one additional pending patent. We own 11 patents that were granted in other countries, 70 European. Patent assets were not valid on their own unless validated in specific European countries, as indeed were validated according to our list of chosen European countries, and one allowed European Patent Office patent application, and 8 pending patent applications such of the countries. 2 pending Paris Convention Treaty patent applications. It's talking about government regulations and so anyway, this thing looks like a pile of shit, but what I like about it is they have ownership in all these little businesses, and some of them they just own a little bit, you know, 5%, 2%, 3%, but there's a lot of them that they own 30%, 40%, 50%, you know, and to me, like, out of these 8 or 9 or 10 or 15 businesses or whatever that they own little pieces of, you know, imagine if you own 2% of, I mean, I think Jeff Bezos right now only owns 2% of Amazon or something, maybe, or 10%. I want to say it's 2%, but you know, imagine if you own 2% of ExxonMobil from the time it was a little teeny tiny company till now, or 2% of Berkshire Hathaway when it was a teeny tiny company, and now it's, you know, one of the top, I think it's like the 6th or 7th biggest U.S. company in the U.S. and probably top 20 in the world. But they're always, one thing about this company, like they always have like Revolts initializes exclusive distribution agreement of 2.7 million in revenues. Charging Robotics, a successful installment. Charging Robotics. Jeff Brands. I mean, they always have articles like keeping you up to date. I like to read some of these. And no one has even commented since October 2023, and we're in April of 2024. Another garbage stock. Lots of disgusting stock splits. No options purchased through October tells me it's a sewage stock. This one is probably my favorite one. It says this is probably the worst stock you can ever buy. You know what, guys? They were saying the same thing about DAC. And it's so funny that, all these people that send like Motley Fool and all these idiots, like they said the same thing about DAC. DAC is the worst stock you could buy in the last 5 years, and then at 30x's. Peter's saying buy. Scam company. But I want to say they paid like $13 million or so in a cash dividend. It was crazy. This guy's bullish. He thinks it's going to $50. What is that? 25x? And this was me back in July 2022. I actually had 10,000 shares at one time. Picked up 4,000 more shares, 10,000, nice even number. This is me pumping a little bit, giving my opinion. But I really don't even care really that they're losing money right now. What I care about is this right here. They got 42 ownership in Gigs. They got 46 ownership in Aventar. They got 35% in Jeff Brands. They got the Muse system. They got 37% in Poly Horizon. They got 5.7% in Clearmind. They got 67% of Fuel Doctor. They got 18% of Scout Cam, which they IPO'd. They have 6% in this Auto Max. They own 5% in this Eli Imaging or whatever. Safe Cyber Technology, they own 2%. Pareto, they own 40%. And it doesn't even mention, well, they did mention Scout Cam. Yeah, so Scout Cam and Scout Cam and Jeff Brands, I believe, were the ones they've IPO'd in the last couple of years. There might have been another one they IPO'd. Um, but yeah, they got so much ownership and so many different companies. You know, they're betting that all these companies are going to fail. I mean, that's got to be 15 companies or so. Even if if all the companies that they own, like 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, even if all those companies fail, what if, you know, this little thing called Clearmine or something? What if this is the only one that makes it, and they got 5%? You know, Buffett owns what, 5% of Apple? You know, the largest company in the world. Um, or even one of these ones they just own like 5, 6. Maybe all of them want to fail. Maybe just this one, just that one company, that 2%. And maybe that company becomes a $1 billion, $20 billion company in the next 20 years. I don't know what 2% of 20 billion is, but you got to think of all the dividends that company is going to be paying over the years. I'm not saying this thing's going to 30x, but to me, if anything has the potential, and if that guy's right, and this thing goes to $50, I mean, back when they did the reverse split, and it was like $12, or no, 15. It was 15 to 1, so it must have been around $15. Somewhere in here, and even back then, I thought it was the potential for 10x. So now that it's fallen from 15 all the way down to 256 or 257. I mean, you could buy it at $2.50. It goes to $5. You double your money. But I think if anything has the potential to 25, 30x, this is this is the ticket, and this is your lottery ticket. And you know, I'm not talking about next year, next month, but I'm talking about you let these companies grow for 20, 30 years. They own 2%, 40%, 5%, 6%, 20%. I mean, this Geeks one is they own 40% of that. I mean, if they even do moderately well, 70-some% in Fuel Doctor. And because of the history of this thing, people have given up on this stock. They've left it for dead. The volume is a little higher than normal. The average volume is 8,500. Let me see. Trying to find my calculator. So we're only talking about $20,000 trading hands every day. 21,000. I was using this number right here. I basically did 8,500 times 250, and it came up to 21,000. So people have left this thing for dead. I mean, you can see the 52-week range is $2.50 to $7. Even if it goes back to its 52-week range, it goes back to 7. You're almost tripling your money. At some point, this thing, even if it is dead, has to do a dead cat bounce. At some point. But if this thing is accurate, if the book value is really $18 a share, you know, you're buying it for $2.50. Well, maybe you wait and see if it goes to 2. And if it goes from 2 to 20, that's a 10 bagger. That's 10 times your money. If you start out with $1,000 and you 10x your money one time, that's 10,000. Then you go from 10,000 to 100,000. Then you go from 100,000 to $1 million. So what's that? You need four correct decisions in a lifetime. And you know, my investment in DAC was substantial for me. It was $5,000. But that 5,000 would have turned into 200 grand. You know, if you say invest $1,000 in this, and I'm right, and it ends up going to $30 or $50. Let me see something here. So if you invest $1,000, let's say at $2.50, you get 400 shares. Let's say this thing does go to $50. Your $1,000 turns into $20,000. Or it could go to 0. So you know, stock twits could be right, it could be a scam, but what I see this company doing is they're just buying assets. They're accumulating assets over time, and they're using all their capital and whatever to accumulate more and more assets. And those assets have not started producing fruit yet, but in the future they should. So they filed this in May 2023. So we should have news maybe coming up next month. I mean, this is good news here. I mean, increase their ownership in AI systems to 36%. Acquire 60% interest in commercial property in Miami. Announces 53 million in revenues for the first 6 months of 2023. Revolt secures an exclusive U.S. partnership with Homeland Security. I mean, these are good news. And this one says stockholder equity versus total assets. Total stockholder equity, 39 million. And total assets, almost 100 million. And back in 2020, they had 22 million in cash, no debt. Here they got 2 million in debt. Now they got 10 million in debt. But they still got 25 million cash. Well, not that much now, but now look at the revenue for that 1 year. I forgot what GF means. Oh, Guru Focus Score. They only rate them at 57 out of 100. And is this possible? $1,316 a share? Is that what they really think it's worth? It's at $2.50 right now, and they think it's worth $1,316. I mean, that's what they got it listed as. I mean, that sounds. I mean, I'm saying 50. Let's see how much money that would be. Let's just look for giggles. Say you put $1,000 in today, and let's say you bought at $250. You got 400 shares times $1,316.14, which would be 526,456. If they're right, that'd be $500,000. It sounds crazy, but you never know. The price to book is here. They got it at 0.14, so you're getting a 86% discount. I mean, maybe I'm just wrong, guys, but you know, I don't think there's many people that have looked at this thing. I mean, they're not going to look at a company in market cap $5 million. But hey, if this thing can go, I mean, according to Guru Focus, again, look, Guru Focus is valued $1,316.41. But considering when they did a reverse split, it was they reverse split it to $15. For this thing to go to 40 or 50, to me is not that big of a stretch, really, considering even when it was at $15, it was way undervalued. So now we're talking about ridiculous levels of undervalued. I mean, if you bought this thing back in 2016, you know, or when it IPO'd, you're paying almost $3,000 a share. So this doesn't look so crazy. But this whole time, throughout all this period of time, they just been acquiring assets, acquiring assets, acquiring assets, acquiring assets. This is my pick for the lottery winner. Now it's a long shot. It's probably worth 0, but if there's any stock that I currently own that has a potential to 30x, this is it. So you can go to sec.gov, look up mdgs, read this stuff for yourself, and you can make up your own decision whether you think it's a good investment or not. I mean, to me, if you're buying things at book value, price to book at 15.15, you get an 85% discount. Here it has the book value at $18.67. If you take all the assets and sell all the assets and pay off all the liabilities, that's what the book value is. It's telling me the book value is $18 and the current price is $2.50. Now, is it possible that they could have scammed 15 different companies, 20 different companies? It's possible, but I wouldn't say that it's likely. I mean, they could even if they just had this one, ownership. This 42% ownership in gigs. I mean, we pop over here to gigs, and the market cap is $16 million. And this is supposed to be the parent company. This is the parent, but yet the market cap of the parent is $5 million. But yet under mdgs, they have almost 50% ownership in this company that the market cap is $16 million. So you can go through here. Let's just say that's $8 million right there. You can look and see what do you think Inventor is worth, or 50% of that, you know. And then Jeff Brands, I would say, is worth nothing, but it might have a little bit of value. And I don't know about all these other ones, but the thing is, I don't really need to know. All I need to know is this company has a market cap of $5 million. They have a book value of 18 something. They got all these ownerships and all these other companies, 46%, 42%, 34%, own and own and own and own, 5%. You know, like 20%, 6%. 70% of that fuel doctor or whatever, 67%. They got all these assets, all this equity in all these companies. And for this to be at this price, I would say out of those 15 companies, all 15 of them had to fail. Now, I don't. Maybe that's true. Maybe all of them will fail, and maybe it's worthless. Maybe it's worth zero. But to me, if only one of those 15 companies is profitable, if just one of those 15 companies does well, this thing is way undervalued. Unless it's a scam. It could be a scam, and if it's a scam, it's worth zero. So you want to know my prediction for the next 30Xer? Here it is. I was right on Sears. I was right on DAC. Let's see if I'll be right on this one. One thing I will say is this: they got a little free. This one is totally free. I didn't sign up. I didn't log in. I mean, I think they got Chat GDP 4 or something now, but you can ask this thing anything you want. You know, Chat GDP, GPT. But I'm probably going to be buying some more shares on Monday, and I've pretty much have taken a loss on SJT. I need the money right now. I'm broke. I need, you know, I'm in between jobs again. I pulled $1,500 out of SJT. I took a $1,500 loss. Which hurts because, you know, I put $3,000 in and now it's only worth $1,500. Granted, it was still paying me 7 or 8% dividends, but losing half of its value. So that hurts, but I got to pull it out, and I don't have much left. But what I have left, I'm gonna stick it in the mdgs and keep my fingers crossed, and hopefully one of those companies will do well over the next 10 or 15, 20 years. Anyway, thank you guys.